おはようございます。今日はまた第2話を読みます。そして文法もあります。その前に仏教と旅の服について話します。でもまずは何が本当ですか？何が嘘ですか？ So this is from chapter 1. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to look over these. Think about what ones do you think are true, what ones do you think are false, and then we'll go over the answers. Hi, 始まります. If you're not ready yet, pause してくださいね. Alright, first, he found the man long after he had been killed. それは本当です. And we know that because he mentioned that the blood was no longer flowing, the blood had stopped. So presumably the man had been dead for a while. He died from poison. それは嘘です. He died from a stab wound to the chest. The man wore an outdated hat from Kyoto. これは嘘です. で、outdated じゃなくておしゃれ。おしゃれは stylish. So in fashion. 帽子をかぶりました. There was a horse with him. それは嘘です. There was no sign of a horse according to the woodcutter. There was a katana by the body. それは嘘です. Katana もありませんでした. The man must have died fighting bravely. According to the woodcutter, this is 本当です. This is what he believes. Presumably, though, the woodcutter did not see what's happened. He's only making an assumption based on the fact that grass was trampled. So clearly a man had been fighting. じゃあ、今、仏教について話したいです。This chapter is going to be interviewing a traveling Buddhist priest. So we want to make sure that we're just a little bit aware of some facts about Buddhism that will be assumed that you would know as a reader. So, some priests in Buddhism travel on what's called pilgrimages, and they travel between holy sites throughout all of Japan. Usually these are walking pilgrimages, and so they will just walk on foot across all of Japan, visiting the different temples. So these people rely on donations and charity from others. You'll see in this picture, this is a Buddhist monk, and this is how they get those charities and donations. They don't go door to door. They don't ask people. They just sit in meditation, and they have a bowl for you to place any offerings you would like to give them. During the time that the story is taking place, Buddhism played a very important role in spreading art and literature throughout Japan. And you'll remember Akutagawa Ryunosuke cared a lot about literature. Especially they were showing Chinese art and literature because that was the pinnacle of high literature back then. And this role that Buddhism played was especially prevalent throughout Kyoto and Nara. And we know the story must be taking place somewhere around Kyoto because the man comes from Kyoto, or at least he had been to Kyoto because he was wearing a hat from there. Lastly, in modern Japan, many Buddhist priests can get married, but this isn't normally the case. And in this case of the story, this would not have been the case. He would have not been allowed to marry or kind of even think about marriage. So keep that in mind as well. 次は、服です。So in Japan, noble women when they went traveling, they would wear mushi no tareginu, which is what you see in the picture. It's a very large hat. It's much bigger than probably any other hat you've seen before. And there's a sheer curtain that goes all around them. This is meant to first keep their face obscured so that no one else can see their face, because you weren't supposed to look at a noble married woman. It also helped to keep the bugs out. Also, usually these women would ride on horseback. They weren't walking themselves. And we're going to see that in the story coming up. Right. And the last thing to know is we are starting to get place names. We have a place called Sekiyama, which, if it existed, couldn't really find anything about it. But Yamashina is still a very real place. It's located in southeast Kyoto. It used to be along a major road that would lead people to Nara, which is a place with a lot of Buddhist temples, so it's a very holy place. And then also the road that would lead you to Edo, which is now known as modern-day Tokyo. If you visit Yamashina now, you're going to see it's famous for its grave sites. This is where an emperor is buried, and this is where an imperial grave site is. And it also has temples, lots and lots of Buddhist temples, and some Shinto shrines as well. ちょっと待って。読む前に新しい言葉を勉強してください。Quizlet で勉強してください。There are some terms that we have never seen before, and you will not fully understand the story, and it will be quite difficult if you are not yet aware of the vocab. So, 勉強してください. Once you're studied, then you can continue this video. 藪の中、芥川龍之介、第2話、旅法師の物語。あの死体の男には、昨日会いました。昨日の、さあ、昼頃でしょう。場所は関山から山科へ行く道です。あの男は馬に乗った女と一緒に関山の方へ歩いて行きました。女は帽子をかぶっていましたから顔はわかりません。見えたのは紫色の服だけです。女の身長ですか？53インチ頃でした。As a side note, 53インチ is about 4'5". So she was quite short. 私は旅法師ですから、女のことをはっきり覚えていません。男は刀も弓矢もありました。矢は20、今でもはっきり覚えています。これがあの男に起こったのは夢にも思いません。本当に人間の命は妙量薬妙量伝ですね。とっても残念なことです。はい。じゃあ、be sure to take the comprehension quiz after you finish this. But before we do that, let's go over one part of grammar that appears in this story. This is known as relative clauses, and this is a tricky form of grammar, but it's very, very common to see in written Japanese. In English, we use relative clauses with words like who, that, or which. In Japanese, though, you just use the plain form. So here are two examples from today's chapter. 場所は関山から山科へ 行く道です。The location is the road that goes to Yamashina from Sekiyama. あの男は馬に乗った女と一緒に関山の方へ歩いて行きました。The man was walking toward Sekiyama with a woman who was riding a horse. So you can see these are quite long sentences. And so let's talk about what is going on with the relative clause. So let's do some relative clause practice. First, I want you to translate these relative clauses to English. Use who, that, or which in your translation. And if you're not in the live class, that means you have to submit a Word doc with your answers in order to get credit. So, for example, 学生じゃない人は学校に入ることができません。入るは to enter. So a person who is not a student cannot enter the school. You'll see we have up at the front 学生じゃない not a student, and that is describing 人. So a person who is not a student 学校に入ることができません cannot enter the school. So 次、勉強する人はいい成績をもらいます。成績は grades. そして寿司を食べない人は変です。So send in your translations for these. Don't submit the document just yet. There's going to be a couple more translations that I'm going to have you do. All right, second part. How would you combine these statements about the story together into one sentence using a relative clause? I want you to combine them in Japanese, not just in English. So I've given you the English translations to help you kind of think about it. And we're going to do the first one together. So we have 男は女と一緒に山科へ行きました。男は誰かに殺されました。The second sentence. 木こりは木を切りに行きました。木こりは死体を見つけました。And the third sentence. 男は刀を持っていました。刀はもう見つけられません。So let's take a look at the first sentence and we're going to work it through together. And then you're going to send in your other two sentences. So, first one, we have the man was going to Yamashina with a woman. The man is killed by someone. So, what we're talking about is the man. He is what is going to be our relative clause because he is the focus for both of these sentences. So, I'm going to take otoko wa, and this is going to end up kind of in the middle of our sentence now. Now, I need to take what's describing the man. What's being described by the man, in this case, is 誰かに殺されました. He's killed by someone. So I'm going to put that first because just like in a regular sentence, when you're describing someone, you put the describer in the beginning. So like if I wanted to say he is a scary man, kowai otoko. Ne? So kowai goes up front. So this is acting like that. So 誰かに殺された男は and then I'm going to put the second part after it. 女と一緒に山科へ行きました。I could also, if I wanted to, switch these. So instead of saying a sentence like, the man who was killed by someone went to Yamashina with the woman, I could instead switch these. And maybe I want to instead describe the man who went to Yamashina with a woman was killed by someone. So if I did that, then my arrows would be switched, right? I would say, 女と一緒に山科へ行った男は誰かに殺されました。The man who went to Yamashina with the woman was killed by someone. So by Friday, there's a reading comprehension quiz. There's also going to be a link to a Gimkit. And I recommend that you keep track of all the evidence we've gotten so far from the story, because it's going to start getting very convoluted, and some facts that we know now might end up not necessarily being truthful later. So we want to see all of the facts together. So I would recommend you start doing that now to save yourself some time later. And of course, if you are not going to be in the live class, then you must submit your answers to the relative clause practice. If you don't submit your answers, you don't get credit. はい、じゃあ、またね。